Mr.
Varun, identify yourself.
I'm Barun Mitra from Liberty Institute. I have a question for Mr. Gopal Swamy, and because we have had this discussion in this morning on random checking, etc. Election Commission, it does depute 2 observers for election for constituencies, the election observer and the expenditure observer. So the expenditure observer probably submits some kind of a report or a note on what he thinks has happened. And that could be a kind of a basis to check, not just randomly, but virtually every candidate in that constituency.
Every candidate.
And secondly, for the panelists, because I was quite pleased that there was a kind of a consensus among most panelists, in fact all of you, because Mr. Gopal Swamy has no objection to that, that if the law was changed. So the question to both of you is that what is preventing the political parties or the parliament to actually change a law for which there is apparently a consensus that the election ceiling need not be there?
Okay, so
now on the accounts that we submitted every 3 days, and we stipulated this so that the cooking is less. Okay, so if you are regularly filing the expenditure every 3 days, the expenditure observer also has a video. He has trailed it, and he looks at the expenditure which is recorded, and if he finds there's a discrepancy, he gives a letter to the candidate saying that I don't agree with the last 3 days of expenditure because you have not accounted for this, this and that. Okay. This is available and it's put out in the notice board of the DEO after the election is over. He puts it out saying that this is the expenditure filed by the candidate and this is the additional information which the expenditure observer has given in respect of this particular candidate. It's available. It's based on this that a defeated candidate or somebody can go to the court challenging the election of a winning candidate. So it is already available. The only thing is, it's not extensively made use of. That's a fact.
would the 2 politicians like to respond to the other question? Then we'll take a question from Mr. Shori and then end the session.
Actually, this matter hasn't been raised for the political parties. This matter, as far as I know, hasn't come to the notice of political parties as a proposal. When it does, we'll see whether the political parties are opposed to it or not. So until that happens, no qualitative opinion can be expressed just now. But it is something that needs to be taken up.
Briefly.
No video camera can catch the underground expenditure. This is one problem. Secondly, the expenditure, again, if it was transparent, it has to be transparent from the top, from the party itself. And then when it comes to the ground, there wouldn't be any problem of how it is being spent.
Mr. Shori?
Yes, sir. 2 questions. Civil society organizations. I find that the strength of a newspaper or any other organization is the extent to which it is unaffiliated. And unfortunately, many of it is sort of the non-gazetted organizations, not the NGOs as we understand them. Similarly, newspapers. I have been in states, so during elections, in one state I can report truthfully that I was told about 2 very big newspapers of that region in which every candidate had to set aside a very large amount of money to be paid for coverage, his photograph and so on.
25 lakhs in Madhya Pradesh, latest figure.
Look at that. So this is therefore it defangs every candidate has then to budget in that way. Second point, sir, if the Chief Election Commissioner is probably the best, is such an authoritative figure to answer this. So there is no doubt that all over the world, the way the Election Commission conducts elections is an example to everybody. No doubt on that. But can it be, I have many times heard that the reports that were filed by the election officers were actually, they revealed a lot of things. Can it be that others get access to those reports? Because that is one of the best primary sources in which an objective observer selected by an organization in which everybody has faith in the country, he gives you a truthful report, but that is...
you're talking about the observers' information on report on expenditure or report on general reports?
No, for instance, it may be that I have managed some booths. That officer then writes a report to you, as I understand it. I heard this in the case, actually from Mr. Rao in the case of West Bengal.
You raised a very important issue, but let me also say, I will not take, you see, we are protecting the identity of the observer, because when they give the report, if it is revealed, I tell you it will be hell for him. You talked about West Bengal. It can be absolute hell for him. Today, we had to protect one Rajasthan election. Some campaigner from a politician walked with a huge posse of policemen. It was not permitted, but the observers are absolutely scared of saying that, because he belonged to the very same state where from the politician came. That observer in that particular constituency, by accident it so happened that he belonged to that particular state and this particular politician belonged to that state. He would have had his head just chopped off. So we had to do a lot of covering up, getting this information through various levels, but ultimately saying that it has come from the Election Commission, though it came from the observer. So we keep the observers' reports confidential only to protect their identity, because in many states the chief electoral officers are targeted. When I'm saying this is with the full responsibility, they are targeted. If they report a violation of the model code of conduct by the party in power, then they gun for him. In fact, in one state, as soon as the election was over, the party in power lost a lot of seats in the parliament election. So they didn't get unseated, but they were quite jolted. They wanted the CEO back so that they can really harass him, because they thought that their defeat should be owed to the CEO. Poor CEO didn't have anything to do with their defeat. It's the voters who voted against them. But this is the thing, therefore we protect that report. But the expenditure observers reports is made open, because it is part of the report of the DEO himself, and that is put out. There is no difficulty in that.
I think we will have to end it here. I'm sure there are more questions. But sir, I'll just ask a brief question about what Mr. Shori said, what Apata said, about journalists taking money and during the election campaign. Is there a possibility that EC works with political parties, with media bodies to try and bring this out in open? Is there, as a journalist, I think a lot of us would want this to happen.
The point is, I think you should clean up yourself. There is no need for me. Because I think the information which is, let me say, the information which comes to us is not something so esoteric that you will not get to know. In fact, you would have got to know it much better than we do. And to us, it's the candidates who come and say that, but no candidate will give it in writing saying that so-and-so asked so-and-so money from me. No, nobody will. But it is very clear, the same so-called news within inverted commas, appears about that particular candidate in half a dozen papers. It is all advertisement. In Uttar Pradesh, we caught it because, out of maybe they forgot or what they were doing, they used to publish right at the bottom in the tiniest possible type ADVT, which meant it is advertisement. So we caught them. Now they have stopped even doing that. So it comes in the newspapers, the same photographs, like news, but actually is advertisement.
Okay. 30 seconds from Mr. Jayajeti and then we will wrap it up.
I just want to request the Honorable Election Commissioner that we always need an honest umpire. If any one political party asks for everyone to sit and talk about journalists and corrupting the media, every party will refuse that invitation saying they are all fine, we must be the ones who are bad. So would you please call such a meeting, because you've called it on so many different issues. Let us talk about how this expenditure is allowed, and one of those subjects can be the media.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thanks.